Hello and welcome back to Johnny Dell's Football Academy, the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game. This past Sunday gave 49ers fans their first regular season look at the number 3 overall pick, quarterback Trey Lance. Like any 49ers quarterback, Lance is a player with the potential to polarize fans. It's almost impossible to deny the potential with Lance that was on display in this game. What was also on display was why the 49ers need to hope that, for this season at least, Lance is allowed to develop away from live game action. That being said, let's also take a step back and consider that what Lance was tasked with in this game would be hard for any quarterback, let alone his first NFL season action after playing less than 2 full games over almost 2 years. This is in no way indicative of who Lance is or who he will be. If anything, this provides a glimpse of his potential, and also what fans can be looking at to help gauge his development over time. I will also say the NFL has really screwed up the coaches film, so not all the throws are available. With all that being said, let's jump to the film and take a look at Trey Lance and see what we got. You're watching Johnny Dell's Football Academy. We won't talk about the first throw because I think everyone realizes the kid was experiencing some jitters early, and who wouldn't? So we will talk about the second throw of the game, as this will give us a look at some of the ways he changed things throughout the game. It was pretty clear that he was working with a bridged version of the game plan, as I saw this play at least 4 times in the second half, so we'll keep referencing this play. It's a couple old West Coast offense staples that go back to Bill Walsh's time with Paul Brown. We'll have a slant flat concept to the top, and a double slant concept to the bottom. They're both zone beaters, each one works a little differently than the other. The slant flat also has a curl over the middle, and so on that side we have a nice horizontal stretch of the defense, with the curl flat defender being the key read. The double slat is also a horizontal stretch. The Seahawks mud the front with a single safety. They're not lining up in man coverage, so we know it's going to be a form of zone. And this is where it'll be up to Lance to quickly identify the correct side to work. With the single safety, I'd like to see him work the 3 receiver side, as you're going to have a more definitive read and you have a 3-on-2 situation. The double slants are there really as a hot read in this situation. If they blitz off that side, you have a quick throw, or if they sit soft and drop back, you have a quick slant with a definitive read. When Lance drops back, he picks the double slant side, probably expecting to throw it hot. I don't hate the read. He sees the defender take the inside slant, so he's going to throw the outside. But that's a tight window throw, in too tight. What I'd like to see him do is have a quick check of the blitz, then jump to the slant flat side. You'll see how the hook and flat routes occupy the 2 underneath defenders, opening up the slant. And this is in no way an indictment on Lance. It's his second NFL throw in a tough situation on 3rd down. It's just a good learning experience. The next play is Lance's big touchdown throw. Here we're going to come out in twins with 2 receivers on one side. With Adams over Debo, it reveals zone coverage. The Seahawks will be in the cover 3 zone. I really like the design here. We like to run this mesh on the outside where you'll have a quick out paired with an in route. And this is a variation off of it where the quick out will actually be a wheel route. You'll see the corner drives on the in route, and Adams points to hand off the wheel route. Seattle busts the coverage and we get a huge touchdown. The next play, we're going to run this same slant flat double slant play. This time, Seattle shows 2 safeties in zone coverage, cover 2 zone. And this time, Lance just fails to identify his key read. This is a zone beater that will put the hook defender in a horizontal stretch. So he's got to learn not to watch his receivers, watch the key defender, and then throw to your spot. It's the receiver's responsibility to get to their spot. He drops back and immediately turns to look at the outside slant. His eyes need to be on this hook player. If he saw the hook defender immediately drop in a backpedal, he'd see he has Kittle right away. Instead, he works outside in, which is not what you want to do on these plays, and tries to move to Kittle late, who's now covered, and looks to make a play late. Seattle gets flagged for defensive holding on the play. So the next play we come out and we'll run the same play from a slightly different formation. Here he's going to do a better job versus this cover 2 zone look. He drops back and is going to work the slant flat. Here he correctly identifies his key read, the cloud defender, who he sees drive on the slant, which leaves open the flat, and he hits juice for a nice gain. The next play we just run a screen to juice and get a nice gain. So after Seattle showed cover 2 zone several times, Kyle draws up a good 2 zone beating play. Here we're going to have a smash concept to the top, which is a short curl and a corner route that looks to put the cloud defender in a vertical stretch. On the other side, we're going to have a couple concepts. We'll have a double post concept, which will create a horizontal stretch, and quick out adding sucker action to create a triangle stretch of the defense. At the snap, Lance chooses the double post side. I like the decision. I don't like where his eyes are at, or his throwing position. He's too far outside. That makes any throw over the middle harder. He feels the pressure and looks to run. Wagner was doing this a lot in the game, and we tried to take advantage later on a play where Kittle took a big hit in the end zone, but he was squatting a lot in this cover too. I'd like to see Lance identify where the stretch is happening more. This is going to put the hook defender in an impossible position. He can't cover the inside post and the outside post, and he can't cover the outside and the out route. I get there's pressure. If Lance's eyes are on the right player, what you'd see after the pressure is for him to climb the pocket and hit Ayuk, who is breaking wide open. Or he could check it down to Juszczyk, who would be one-on-one with the corner. Instead, Lance chooses himself on Bobby Wagner. I don't say that because I don't want him to use his God-given talents. More, I'd really prefer not to see our number 3 overall pick getting injured early in his career. So here, Lance will scramble on a play and we get called for holding. This is another example of just little things the kid doesn't have a full grasp on yet, which I will reiterate, no one should be expecting all this from him coming in halfway through a game when he's a raw prospect. So please don't use this as a, see, Trey's just not it. That's not my point at all. But we're going to have mirroring concepts here. It's a variation on a bench concept that has a deep out and a quick out. Here, our guys run out and ins. Both sides are going to run dig routes with quick outs looking to put the defense in a vertical stretch. It's a PAS play or a pick a side play. Lance chooses Sherfield side to work. Two things I don't like about this. One, Sherfield is lined up far inside and thus has to stem his route further out to widen the safety. It means it's going to take longer to run. Second, that side has a wide 9 end, so Sanu is tasked with chipping the end and then releasing in a pattern. Again, more time. The other side, we have Debo and Kittle with free releases, and Debo's widened set will widen the safety from the snap. Why is this a big deal? Because when he plants his back foot, the ball needs to come out. That's what your offensive line are expecting, and that's how the routes are designed to work. Lance drops back and he gets indecisive here. He sees the hook dropping back and the cloud dropping back, but isn't sure if it's quite deep enough, and he holds this route for too long. Sherfield takes longer to run the route. He had Sanu open early, but by the time he moves off, he's not open. On the other side, we see the timing was perfect with the drop. We see Debo is breaking right after Lance hits his back step. The ball should be out. You can see he's got a tight window throw to Debo, or a great option for Kittle in the flat. And this is another learning experience. Get the ball out on time to your playmakers, and it helps your offensive line and you. Now this next play I really like. Here, if you watched my video last week on the Packers, you'll recognize this play. It's a similar variation on the play we just ran. We like to run these bench/smash concepts a lot versus cover 2, and then we'll run a variation like I just showed, or we'll run this, where we have the outside guys run swirl routes, which looks like a corner route but breaks off. We then put a middle hook in there to create a triangle stretch of the defense, both horizontally and vertically. At the snap, Lance correctly identifies the hook defender and sees him take the inside curl. which will open up Debo's route. You'll see he starts his windup before Debo has cut his route off. That's nice anticipation, and he gets the ball to Debo for a nice gain. Then here we're going to run a variation off an Ohio concept. If you've seen the channel before, you know the Ohio is a protection release fade and a quick out that looks to put the cloud defender in a vertical stretch. Here, Seattle is again showing cover 2 zone pre-snap, so Sanu is just going to break this off on a stick route before the corner can attack it. Good execution and nice arm strength by Lance to get a good gain. So here we're going to run another couple cover 2 beating concepts. To the 3 receiver side, we'll run a stick nod, which is a variation off a stick concept. To the bottom, we'll run a double slant. Lance seems to be favoring the double slant, at least in this game. Like earlier, Lance seems to struggle identifying the key defender. Against cover 2 zone, like I said earlier, it's the hook defender. At the snap, Lance looks to the corner. If he reads the correct key defender, he would see him outside Kittle. Kittle turns around when he sees us. He's expecting the ball. But Lance is watching Debo the whole way, and the hook reads it and drives on Debo's route. The ball sails high anyway, but it's a dangerous throw. This is just a problem of understanding who he's reading on these plays. You've seen this several times. Kyle's playbook isn't an easy one that has a lot of key reads, where we're attacking individual players or zones. Last, we'll take a look at his footwork. It's something I don't dive into a lot on the channel, mainly because it's just hard to point out from such far away angles, but it is worth discussing in regards to Lance. The reads and things are stuff he can get some work on in practice and in drills, but can really benefit from stuff like this, which is real games. The footwork, however, needs to be addressed away from live games. So right off the bat, I know the snap was a little off target, but you see he hops to get himself into his drop back. It's one thing I noticed over and over again in the game, not just on this snap. He gets really hoppy in his footwork. You never want to see that hopping. Keep in contact with the ground at all times. It also throws off the timing of everything and the depth of the drop. Next, notice how far back from his body his back leg is. You want your base solidly underneath you. He's doing this partially because he's crossing his feet over each other. Another thing you don't want to see from your quarterback. I saw this on most of his throws. His feet were crossing over each other. I want to see that base more firmly underneath him and those feet not crossing over. And you'll also see that hoppiness throughout the drop back. Like I said, you want those feet in contact with the ground at all times. You want them firmly there. If you ever watch old videos of Joe Montana, he was a master at this. You can see he's picking his foot up before he's got his next foot down. And then he has his hop to his plant step. Lots to clean up there in the footwork. To tie this to the routes, this is going to take time. But what do I like? I like that when he's avoiding the rush, he's looking to throw. He's not just looking to pull it down and run, which so many young athletic quarterbacks do. So I really like that. That's one of the hardest things to teach guys who are great athletes to do. They get so used to being able to pull it and run and be the better athlete. It's really hard to break. So I really like that. That right there tells me a boatload about him and why I think you have tons of potential. All in all, not great, but come on, he's a young kid who has barely played any football over the past year and 9 months, so patience is definitely in order. Nothing to freak out about at all, and it will be fun to watch this kid develop. There's tons of potential there, and hopefully it will be realized. As always, if you'd like to support the channel in any way, I'll have links for that below. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and go Niners.